People rarely mention the state of Florida when discussing punk rock and underground music. It's usually places like New York or California that get all the credit. But the city of Tampa deserves to be recognized in its own right. This is Bob. Bob moved to the Tampa area in the early 90s and eventually opened a punk rock record store and distribution company called Sound Idea.
This is The Land That Time Forgot. I believe this was the first compilation album of all Florida punk and alternative bands. This came out in 1982 on a record label called Open Records. Open Records was a record store in Fort Lauderdale run by a very cool woman named Leslie Wimmer and a guy named Ted Gottfried. And at some point they decided that they wanted to start putting out records. And they put out 4 or 5 records. They put out a couple of singles by a guy named Charlie Pickett. But this was their first release, this compilation.
Some people credit a band just a few hours north of Tampa for jump-starting the punk rock movement around the state.
Roach Motel was from Gainesville, and I think they were one of the most important bands in the state of Florida because they ran their own record label, Destroy Records, and they had a zine called Destroy Fanzine, and they also networked their asses off to bring bands like Black Flag and the Necros and the Misfits and the Dead Kennedys to Florida. If it wasn't for the guys in Roach Motel who loved punk rock so much, things probably would not have developed here. This is the first hardcore record from the state of Florida. This is the first record you can really call hardcore. This came out in 82, which is a little late for the rest of the country. By 82, California, New York, D.C., those places were in full swing. And this is the very first one from the state of Florida in 1982, just a couple years later than the rest of the country. But a fantastic record and very important. And these guys really just got things kick-started. 600 copies of this were made. It's hard to find. And this is their second record, which some people think is better. I'm not quite sure. But I think they made 1,000 copies of it. Destroy Records label, probably their most important achievement is they put out a 7-inch compilation called We Can't Help It If We're From Florida that features Rat Cafeteria, who were from Tampa, and that's the only thing that Rat Cafeteria were ever on.
Rat Cafeteria formed in Tampa in 1982 and is noted as being the first heavy punk rock band in the city. One of the band's founding members was also a part of Triple X Girls, one of Tampa's more outrageous new wave bands.
Well, the Triple X Girls were an early Tampa band, and it's kind of more new wavy power pop than it is punk. I'm not sure what year these records came out. This one came out in 1982.
Nice.
And this one came out also in 1982. And I got both of these records one day for $1 a piece. I think they're worth a little bit more than that. But probably the interesting thing to know about the Triple X Girls is that Dorsey from Rat Cafeteria and the Pink Lincolns was in the band. And there he is. I think it looks like he's wearing some makeup. And I think he still has that same haircut.
I was a friend of mine from high school and a couple other people we met, and we decided we wanted to we saw some of the other bands and we go, we can do stuff just as good as them or even wilder. So we just tried to do as much as we could. We didn't want to copy one band. Like some of the bands modeled themselves after other bands. And we just took everything we ever listened to and it's like, let's do a little bit of all of it and have fun. And we went out and just tried to be as weird and have as much fun as we could.
It was when Dorsey left Triple X Girls that he joined forces with another crazy person by the name of Mike McHugh, also known as Mike Rat.
I thought it was fun. We started it for fun and to be, we weren't serious about it really. We wanted to be able to play our instruments and do it right, but we still wanted to have fun and not be serious about it.
Along with Rat Cafeteria came another band, a band that called themselves Pagan Faith.
There was really no punk scene. We were almost like the first punk band in the area, us and Rat Cafeteria. Unless you were to count the Voodoo Idols as a punk band, we were it.
This is the Pagan Faith record. I don't know too much about it. Sometime in the 90s, somebody found a stack of the vinyl laying around that had no covers, and sometime in the early 1990s, somebody whipped up a new batch of covers. So So there's a few of those floating around.
I took those records into Peaches Records, and they would shrink wrap them and put their own sticker on there that said Peaches. So, I would go to different places. I even had the record at the mall.
They were at the first show that I ever went to. I got to see them a few times, and it has the hit song, Fuck Shit, I Hate Reagan.
So where do bands like Pagan Faith and Rat Cafeteria play in a city that's so unfamiliar with their styles of music? How about the Buffalo Roadhouse?
Buffalo Roadhouse, what do I remember about that? Scooter the bartender, he put up with a lot of shit. He let us go on the roof. We threw Santa Claus off the roof. He let us drink there. We didn't have any money. Our bands used to play there.
First place we ever played, it was the first punk bar in Tampa. And that went back to 79. It's when they opened as a punk bar. And at one point, Rat Cafeteria was the house band there. And we played every other weekend and at least one day, usually a Wednesday, every week.
It was a biker club during the week, and it was a punk bar on the weekends. So, we got to intermingle with them. And we were arch enemies with the Lucky Club, which was just down the road, which we called the New Wave Club. So we had our hardcore punk club, and they had their New Wave Club.
It was awesome. It was really cool. I mean, yeah, we didn't make a lot of money. They didn't make a lot of money either, but they treated us really well.
From there, then, we were lucky enough to... There were some other places in between, in some halls, and when the Lonesome Coyote came along, that was really a really great sounding venue that could hold 300 people.
Best venue was Lonesome Coyote. Abandoned movie theater. They took out the fucking screen. They left the seating in and turned where the theater screen should have been into a stage, huge stage. Biggest stage any fucking place going.
Yeah, we lived not far from it, so it was real convenient for us, and a nice stage, killer PA.
They didn't give a fuck what you did. They really didn't give a rat's ass. Go in there and get stupid as hell, fucking slam bottles and swamp crap. They just didn't give a shit.
Plenty of parking, plenty of place to hide from the cops, out of the site so you can drink in the parking lot.
Awesome place. Didn't last long, but that was absolutely my favorite venue to play at.
Rat Cafeteria used to practice in the barn behind my parents' house. And so I'd go up there and watch them practice, and I was like, this is the coolest shit I've ever seen, heard. This is awesome. I wanted to be in a band.
Me and Jack Cook from BOS and this guy named Dave Scott, we were in this band, Ellis, we were in this band called Deviant Attitude, and it sucked.
Deviant Attitude was a wonderful band. We had so much talent.
I kind of felt, hey, I can do something better, so I went out and found some guys to play with.
Vince left the band and went on and formed Jehovah's Sicknesses. And I stuck around with Deviant Attitude for a while.
We didn't have a drummer. It was, Tampa long-running problem was having a drummer. Our first drummer, we waited for him. We trained him. John Hickey, and he came to be a great drummer.
Me and Vince had known each other for a while, and he knew how I could play. I played guitar, I played bass, and at that point they needed a bass player, and the guy they had wasn't working out.
Yeah, it was Paul and I and Ellis and John, and yeah, it was a good time. We had a really good time.
Yeah, it worked out. We jammed together. It bonded up really good. It was nice.
And you know, everything back then, it was so new.
There was a few bands around, but not a lot of really good ones. I mean, Pagan Faith was good. Rat Cafeteria is awesome.
Pagan Faith, Rat Cafeteria, man, those were hard acts to follow for us. And you know, for us, for Jehovah's, they were all a couple of years older than us, like 3 or 4 years in some respects. And you know, we were drunken 13, 14-year-old. I mean, we were fucking crazy, you know. And they looked out for us, you know. It wasn't any sort of parental shit, but they always kind of kept an eye on us, I guess, if you will. We always made it home alive.